And being in balance, to me, is about alignment. And I'd like to just take you down that path just a little bit here this morning about what it means to get yourself back into balance in your life. We are out of balance emotionally and in our minds and what we are capable of attracting and doing with ourselves because we're not aligned with our source. We're not aligned with Tao. When you are aligned, it means that whatever thoughts that you have about what it is that you would like to do, that what you would like to create, about how you would like your relationships to go, about your ability to attract prosperity into your life, about your ability or your capacity to heal yourself of anything that might come your way, anything at all that might come your way. If you have the willingness to give the same energy to what it is that you are desiring for yourself. As Katie was going through, can I talk about your eyes? Is that okay? Okay. I'm asking permission in front of thousands of people here. But Katie was literally going blind and had to go through corneal implants from cadavers twice. And as she was getting ready and prepared to do the last one, we were talking, and I would ask her about it. And what always impressed me so much was she would give the kind of energy to what she wanted rather than having it be totally, completely out of balance. And that's what this is all about. So that as she was going in to have a cornea transplanted from a dead person into her eye so that she could see, talk about seeing through another person's eyes, always she would say to me, no, it's going to work out fine. It's going to be great. It is my intention that, and there was never this out of balance kind of thinking which says, this is what I want. This is what I want to attract. This is what I want to create for myself, whatever it might be. In this book, I deal with it in every single area of our lives. I think it's true in addictions and overcoming addictions. It's true if you have obesity problems or weight problems, issues like that. I think it's true in overcoming relationship struggles or difficulties. The opening chapter says, an infinity of forests lies dormant within the dreams of one acorn. Listen to that. An infinity of forests lies dormant within the dreams of one acorn. One little seed has a dream, and that dream is so powerful that it can manifest and create just from that dream inside of that, and it literally can do that. The potential that is in the dreams of this tiny little acorn can bring and attract to the world an endless number of trees. I used to say, anyone can count the number of seeds in an apple, but no one can count the number of apples in one seed. When you have dreams or desires or things that you would like to create or attract for yourself into your life, and they're way up here, they're big, but the Tao says that sages never attempt big things. They don't have to do big things. It says in there's a line that says you can get anywhere from here. As long as you're here in your mind, as long as you stay here with what is true. 19 years ago, I drank every day. I never was drunk. It wasn't like I was out there, out of control or anything. I drank every day. And I had a teacher in India who said, if you want to reach the level of consciousness that I would like you to be able to go to, you'll have to live a life of sobriety. And I said, I have no trouble with sobriety. I just like to have a few beers every day, if you don't mind, after I run. He said, no, you'll have to get yourself to a place where so as a sage, if you think of yourself as a sage and you want to undertake this thing of giving up drinking or losing 75 pounds or attracting great wealth into your life or building a great bridge across a divide, whatever it is that you might want to undertake. I think about it when I sit down to write a book. I mean, if you sit down and know that you've got to create 300 or 400 pages that has to be legible, and it has to all fit together, and it has to make sense, and it all has to come from your mind. That's just too big. And people who think big generally end up doing nothing, because it's just too daunting a task to do big. But anybody can do here. Anybody can do now. Anybody can do this moment. And so what do you do? It's what I said to my daughter this morning. I say it to her every morning when I pick up the phone, wherever I am. Today is a sober day. Just today. Don't undertake giving up anything big like that. Don't undertake the idea of I've been overweight my whole life, or I've been addicted to something my whole life, and I just want to change that. Let go of that. The great sages don't do difficult things because they never see difficult things. There's nothing difficult out there when all you have to do today is stop smoking. Today. And people say, but it's really difficult. It's really difficult to quit smoking. I said, where do you come up with that? Where do you come up? Is that true? You'll hear Katie this afternoon ask you that question. Is this true? Can you prove that it's true? You'll see. I just want you to, if you haven't seen her do it. She's the master. She's the best in the world at it. Is it true that it's difficult to quit smoking? Hell no, it's not true. What's difficult is smoking. That's what's difficult. That's true. There's a wonderful woman that I've come to respect a great deal and know. Her name is Carolyn Meese. And she has a tape that I heard a few years ago called Why People Don't Heal, I believe it is. I was so taken by the profound wisdom of what and how she presented it that I called and left a message with her that if she would like my endorsement, if she's interested in that, I'd be happy to give it. And she did. And what she said is that the reason that people don't heal in their life is because they are bonded to the wounds of their past. They not only have understood them and practiced them and perhaps even embraced them and understood them, but they have now bonded to them. And they use these wounds as a rationale for why their life isn't working the way they would like it to work today. And they continually haul out all of these terrible things that happened. And within 5 minutes of meeting them, you'll know that they're an alcoholic, or that they were sexually abused, or that their father walked out on them, or that they lived in an orphanage, or that they were very poor, or that they suffer from depression, or whatever it might be. And the constant using of these wounds of the past as almost like a calling card is what keeps them back there. I'm not saying that you have to give up everything and everyone that ever happened to you, and you have to forget about it and not have traditions. I'm suggesting that you take this very, very seriously, that the reason why your life is going the way it is going is because of the choices that you are making today, right now in your life. And that anything else that you are using that is back here in the wake as a rationale or an explanation for why your life isn't going the way you would like it to go is nothing more than an excuse to which you will bond yourself, and as a result of that bonding, you will keep yourself back, living in those obstacles, rather than creating an intention of what you want to have for yourself in your life. And it's a very common thing to do. And on the extra mile, you'll find people. I remember Castaneda's teacher telling him, you'll know when you are free from your personal history, because he said, look, if you don't have a story, you don't have to live up to it, which is pretty good. You just don't have to live up to your story. He said the way that you will know that you are free from this is that you should check yourself into the seediest motel that you can possibly find, with cockroaches in it, and with the paint that is, chipped off the walls, and the most unpleasant kind of place that you can check yourself into, and don't tell anyone that you're there. And you stay in that room and don't come out until it makes no difference to anyone whether you do or you don't. How's that for a test? Until you get free from this idea of what somebody else might think or what might say or might begin to use on you. And most of this stuff that is in our past is all related to our family. My mother, my father, my siblings, my in-laws, whatever. And I've suggested that you look at all of the things that you have allowed in your past to be the reasons why, particularly in your relationships with your family, and just say to yourself, I no longer have a personal history. I am not attached to any of that at all. I look upon my personal history, and I have for a long time, as one of the great advantages of my life. Because I feel that when we come here, we have a heroic mission, and that it was my dharma, my destiny, my path, if you will, to teach self-reliance. I've never done anything else since I was a little boy. And my entire professional life and all of my teaching and all of the work that I've done, all of the books have all been directed towards just teaching people about self-reliance. And it's almost as if God said, if you really want to teach self-reliance, then you'll have to get your little ass into an orphanage and spend a few years there learning to rely upon yourself. And once you learn how to do that, once you have that experience of how to do that, then you'll never use it as an excuse or a rationale or a reason why you can't get something done yourself. You don't have to blame anybody else. You'll know to rely upon yourself, and it won't be because of something that you learned in a book or that you heard on a tape. It'll be because you have made conscious contact with self-reliance. And you had to have it, and you had to do it. And the people that I have had the greatest amount of respect and admiration for over the years are the people who have been through it, understood it, written about it, or told other people about it, and let it go, and moved on in their life. Martin Luther King Jr. once had remarked that the only way to convert an enemy to a friend is through love, not hatred or fighting. We don't conquer anything, and there's nothing to fight. Consider the results we've achieved when we tried to fight something in order to conquer it. For example, ever since war was declared on poverty, there's more of it in the world than ever. Our wars on drugs have only served to triple our prison populations and bring illegal substances to more people at younger ages. As early as junior high school, there's hardly a child who doesn't know how to acquire all manner of drugs. Our wars on crime have resulted in more criminals, more fear, more surveillance, more distrust, and more abuse by law enforcement personnel. Our war on terror has turned us into people who behave toward those we label terrorists in ways that emulate the terrorism we're supposedly desirous of eliminating. And our wars on cancer, obesity, and hunger have not eliminated those conditions either. Here's the reasoning behind what I've just elaborated. The truth of this universe is that we live in an energy system that operates on the law of attraction. That is, we become what we think about all day long. If we think about what we hate, this is an energy that we're offering to our desires. In this system, then, we'll attract more of what we think about. Consequently, more of what we hate is what we will attract. We act on our thoughts. Our thoughts of hate, violence, fighting, and war generate actions of hate, violence, fighting, and war. And lo and behold, we see the fruits of this thinking showing up even if our intentions are positively aligned with good energy or God energy. We get what we think about, whether we want it or not. Thoughts that translate into fighting and war almost always guarantee that the response is a counterforce. That is, others will respond in kind to our desire to fight and conquer. This kind of counterforce can continue for centuries, with unborn generations programmed to carry on the fight. This same understanding of how fighting weakens us and generates more imbalance in our lives is applicable to our experience with addictions.
we can become addiction-free relatively quickly if we make a decision to eliminate fighting and conquering from our efforts. The thoughts and energy that replace fighting need to be in the form of non-warlike thoughts. As Emerson said so succinctly, the remedy of all blunders, the cure of blindness, the cure of crime, is love. And addictions constitute one huge blunder. I can assure you, having spent a great deal of my life immersed in such folly myself. Overcoming blunder-filled thinking. For those of you who may not be familiar with my friend Ram Dass, in the late 1960s, he helped shape the awakening consciousness of an entire generation with his bestseller, Be Here Now. One of my favorite Ram Dass stories is the one he tells about an early encounter with Neem Karoli Baba, his guru in India. Ram Dass brought some capsules with him to India that were designed to dramatically alter one's state of consciousness. Neem Karoli Baba confronted Ram Dass about these pills and asked him to give all of them to him. Ram Dass thought that he'd brought a long-term supply of this very powerful psychedelic substance, yet he watched in horror and amazement as this enlightened being swallowed all of them right before his eyes with no visible reaction. His guru then asked him if he had any more, since these obviously weren't working. After telling this story, Ram Dass concluded with one of his most sagacious observations. "If you're already in Detroit," he said, "then you don't have to take a bus to get there." Addictions of every description are vehicles that people board in order to get someplace higher, more pleasurable, more peaceful, more tuned in and turned on, and so on. But if you're already aligned with this energy, then it's obviously unnecessary to climb aboard any vehicle headed to a place where you currently reside. I've played with addictions and addictive behaviors for a large part of my life. In fact, I'd say that these various addictions have been among my greatest teachers, allowing me to see that there's a higher level of consciousness and blissful awareness available to us all. But I'm also aware that using substances of non-well-being in order to experience this separate reality is assuredly a counterfeit means of doing so. I'm essentially addiction-free, and I want you to know that I didn't get to this place by fighting my addictive nature. In fact, the more I tried to conquer addictions at various stages of my life to things such as sugar, soda pop, caffeine, nicotine, alcohol, and certain drugs, the more they'd gain a foothold on me. Force, counterforce. I'd apply my weapons, and they'd bring out their artillery, with my body as the battleground where the war was being waged. I was blundering my way into deeper addiction. Earlier, I quoted Ralph Waldo Emerson, who said, "The remedy for all blunders is love."